So learning to play guitar really is a journey. We preach that all the time here at YJ, and it's a really important kind of mindset shift for a lot of people, to be honest. So when you're coming here thinking about how to develop a habit of learning the guitar, it's important to kind of get this understood first, that it is a journey. And I can see this is a big mindset shift for a lot of people, because when they first start playing, one of the most common questions is, so how long is it going to take, Dan? How long until I can play this thing? And of course, that's a very valid question, and I completely understand any beginner picking it up and asking this kind of question. But of course, it's actually kind of like the wrong question to be asking, because really, guitar playing is something that can be an exciting, beautiful thing that brings you joy for the whole of your life. So the concept of like, how long is it going to take me to be able to play is a tough one to answer, because we're kind of looking at it from the wrong mindset. The journey itself will take on many paths, from a kind of beginner stage all the way through to kind of an intermediate discovery stage where suddenly like, wow, there's so much we can do. And then beyond that, that more kind of professional advanced stage. But even then, there's so much to learn, so much to find out, so much to add to your playing. Even myself, you know, I'm a teacher here on YouTube. I've been doing it for many years, but I'm still learning something all the time that I can add into my playing. So it really is a lifelong discovery thing. And that's why it's important to think of it like that, to think that this guitar playing journey that I'm on can bring me joy for the whole of my life. That also means that your goals will shift. So right now you're sitting there thinking, right, I would like to be able to do this on the guitar, whatever that is. It might be play my first song, it might be play some open chords, it might be strum properly, or it might be play this Jimi Hendrix track, or whatever it is. These are your goals now, but inevitably as you work through this journey, it is going to change as well. The goalposts will keep shifting. Oh, I can play those chords now. Now my new goal is to do this, this, and this. And that's great. That's why I love it. And that's why it's so hard to answer the question, how long is this going to take? And instead, I'd probably ask something a bit more along the lines of, how can I bring more joy and fun into my life by developing an awesome daily habit of learning the guitar? So that's what this video is all about. I'm going to be giving you 5 tips to develop the habit of playing guitar. And that means that you're going to consistently sit down with your beautiful instrument and play every single day if you can. And of course, we'll kind of work from that and then work backwards and work around that. So I'm going to be taking you through those. And it's important to note that in this video, I'm going to be teaching you about developing the habit, not exactly what to play, okay? If you want to know what to play when you have this habit sorted, that's what the Guitar Club is all about. And of course, you can find links to that in the description below. So the first top tip is finding a space in your home that you want to go to play, okay? And this is really important because we've all got very wildly different homes. You know, some have more space than others, some have a lot less space, some have a lot of people running around, some have a lot of peace and quiet. Everyone's in a different situation in their lives at the moment, and therefore the space will be different. But what I'm talking about here is trying to find a space that entices you to come in and play, okay? So for me personally, it's actually very, very simple. I've got a space in my living room where I've got my guitar hanging on the wall, I've got my amp, I've got a little kind of place where I can put my iPad so I can practice something, and that's it. And it's just a nice little space kind of near the window, basically just kind of behind the sofa and all these kind of things. So it's really not like a studio or anything like that. It's just a cool space. I've got a little stool there that I can go to, and I know as soon as I sit down there, I can play, and it's a little bit of peace and quiet for me. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about my gear setup. You might be wondering why I'm holding this. We'll talk about this later on in terms of my practice, but that's the space that I've got, and it's a really nice space for me. I've got a couple of little pictures of like inspiration around that kind of space as well. Of course, I've been to students' homes where they have epic setups, a whole room dedicated to amps, guitars, DAWs, you know, recording software, speakers. It's completely up to you, but the gist here is, can you create this space where no matter how you're feeling on that day, so you might be extremely motivated, and that's great, then any space will do. But you're also gonna have days where you're really not feeling motivated about picking up the guitar, and just by simply carving out a little space in your house where you're like, okay, this is a bit of calm, and I can go in here and I'll play, even if I'm not the most motivated, that's gonna massively help. Now, the second tip is to find a time of the day that you consistently use as your practice time. Now, I'd highly, highly recommend this rather than going a little bit ad hoc. And then there's nothing wrong with that. You know, picking up the guitar here and there as you feel to, that's great. But I'd also have a kind of time that you put in your schedule for playing each day. Because of course, it's much like going to the gym, right? So if you didn't have a space and a time in your day for going to do some exercise, let's be honest, you're not really gonna kind of just be like, I'm gonna go and do some exercise now. It's kind of quite rare that that's gonna happen because you need that kind of timing and scheduling, especially again, coming back to my previous point, when you're not feeling like picking up the guitar. So some days you're gonna be super motivated and you're gonna be like, right, I wanna do it like for 2 hours today or something like that. But then for the rest of the week, we wanna make sure that we continuously do a kind of daily practice. So looking at your schedule and saying, okay, well, look, in the mornings it's a bit hectic for me. There's just not going to be any time there. You know, I've got to get the kids to school or whatever it might be. That's my life. But when I come back home and it's the evening, I know I've got like a solid 30 minutes here, and I'm going to put it in my diary, and that's when I'm going to do my practice. And you show up for that. So when you say you're going to do that, and it's in your diary, and you're kind of like, I'm doing it at 7:30 till 8 roughly each day, then do that. Show up then at that time and go to that space that you've already created. So we're kind of combining, when we're building habits, we need to kind of make sure we do it on those days when we really don't want to do it as well. And that's gonna massively help with that. Remember, whenever building a habit, you kind of want to try and be as consistent as possible for 30 to 60 days before it becomes a little bit more automatic. Now, my third tip is little and often, especially to start with. Now, this is going to obviously develop as you get more experience. So depending on what level you're at watching this video, you might be a complete beginner, you might be advanced and still looking to try and find a bit more of a habit. I know I needed to, you know, and I still need to kind of get back into it, and I'm a more advanced player. So at any point across your journey, you might want to kind of think about your habit of playing. Now, depending on where you're at, obviously, you're going to be able to practice more time than maybe, so an advanced player might be able to practice a bit longer than a beginner. But it's important to understand the concept of little and often. It's much better than, for example, I do 1-2 hour practice session on a Sunday and then I don't pick up the guitar again until the following Sunday. That is not going to help us build the muscle memory that we need, the kind of resilience to kind of play every day and build that habit. And remember, with the muscle memory thing, that's what you're trying to do. With every scale you learn, with every chord, with every song, with whatever it is, you're kind of building the memory in the fingers as well as up here, right? So it's massively important that we apply the kind of little and often. So I'd much rather you do 20 minutes every day or 10 minutes every day. If you're a beginner, 10 minutes will be fine. Just go through your open chords and strum and follow along with whatever you're learning on the guitar club, of course. But that's going to be absolutely fine, and that's going to help you, one, stay more motivated, because you're not thinking, man, I'm going to sit down now for 2 hours and practice, and that can get a bit boring. Remember, we're in it for the music, for the love of it as well. So the kind of, sometimes there's, you know, the thought about practice doesn't quite match up with just like, I'm just an artist, I'm just playing kind of thing. So we kind of want to be easy on ourselves when it comes to that. So just a little bit of time, and then if you prove to yourself that over the next 30 days, for example, you can turn up at the same time pretty much every day for 20 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever it might be, then the next month, try and do 15. So try and do a little bit more. And that's how you kind of gradually build it. Remember also, on top of that, if you do miss a day or 2 days or even 3 days or whatever it is, don't worry about it. Just come back to it. So don't get yourself into that little mindset where you're like, oh, I've missed a few days now. It's over. I won't practice again. Instead, be like, okay, I've missed 3 days, but this is a lifelong habit that I'm building here. I love the guitar. I want to be able to play this all the time. So what's 3 days in a life? Do you know what I mean? So instead, just be thinking, okay, 3 days, back to it today. And then you start again. And gradually that kind of streak of days that you do it consistently will just get bigger and bigger until that habit gets really solid, and then you'll feel weird not to. Tip number 4 is get a good traveling setup. Now, we've talked so far about having a space at home and creating a time each day that you do it, and then trying to apply the rule of doing it little and often rather than just like one big chunk and then leave it for a while. The next thing is, if you do have a job where you do a lot of traveling, or you typically just do a lot of traveling, maybe you travel around a lot on holidays, or generally that you don't have a one space that you kind of always come back to every day, or whatever your situation might be, get yourself a good traveling setup. And this is actually a really fun part of it, because what we don't want is, you know, you do 2 weeks and you're absolutely smashing when you're at home, but then you've got, you know, a couple of days away and we just completely forget about it. And then you've got to it feels like you restart it when you come back. And actually, we don't need to do that. We just need to get a nice setup. And that kind of brings me to why I've been holding this really cool guitar for the whole video, because I just want to tell you a little bit about my traveling setup. So I've got 2 main things here that I would highly advise you get. One is a travel guitar like this. So this is the Donner Music Hush X travel guitar, and I'm gonna put links in the description below, of course, so you can kind of have a look at this. But this is super, super cool. So you can see here, these kind of little kind of guitar frame bits, they just go on. So I can just take those both off, right? So if I actually kind of went away and took those off, so let me just do this quickly. So I just pull this up, that comes off. I'll just put that over there. And then I'll take this one off as well. So you just pull that comes off. And you can see that now is the thinnest thing you've seen, right? So obviously there's no headstock. The tuners are all at the back instead. So I kind of tune it all from here. And that then goes into this very cool case, which you can see here. And you can see that fits on a plane, that easily fits in the car, that fits on a bike, for God's sake. I mean, that is such a easy to carry around thing, which really means that you're getting a really high quality, because this is a really cool guitar to play. It plays super beautifully. You can hear I've been playing it throughout this whole video just in the background. And it's easy to play, easy to tune, it stays in tune. You've got great pickups here. So these all sound good. You've got loads of tone options. So fundamentally, from a guitar point of view, and I'm just going to put these back on whilst I'm doing it. So we just clip that in, and that literally just pull that, and in it goes. And then the same for this one. So just put that in. So that's got a little bit of a little hole here and here, and I just literally again just clip that in, and in it goes. Push it down, and that's on. I mean, that is how easy that is. You can also just put a strap on it, and it's even easier. As well as that, I always take with me my Wazza Airs, the Boss Wazza Airs. And again, I'll put these in a description for you guys so you can have a look at these. But literally, all I do with this setup here, if I just unplug my lead that I've got here for filming, you just simply take the jack, which is a wireless jack, you plonk that in, the guitar, that goes in there. You turn on the headphones and you are ready to go. So now, you can't hear it, but I can hear all the guitar coming through these headphones. And the best thing about this is this has got built-in amps, built-in effects units, everything else is all controlled via an app. So essentially, I am here with my ultimate travel setup. All I need to do is take these and this, and I'm literally ready to practice, you know, as much as I like with actually a really good tone. So rather than thinking, oh, you know, my practice is going to sound rubbish, but actually this is really great. I can just fire up a backing track if I want to kind of do a bit of jamming, comes through the headphones, and I've got a great guitar to use alongside that. So between the two things, I've got an amazing travel setup. And the Wazza Airs, I mean, they're just great headphones anyway. So you're probably going to take headphones with you wherever you're going. So there's a set of headphones, happens to double up as your guitar amp, alongside this awesome Donner Hush X guitar, and I'll put the links for both of those things below. Remember, we're trying to build a habit. So if you are going away a lot and you're trying to just still focus on, can I get 30 days as a streak or 60 days where I do it every single day? This is gonna help massively. Get yourself a good travel setup. And tip number 5 is use gear to make it fun. So my fundamental stance on gear, and I've said this a lot in a lot of my videos, is that the skill and the playing and the sound of your guitar comes from you, fundamentally. Your fingers, your soul coming through this instrument. So that's always what I've stood by, but I'm still a guitar geek. So gear is just fun. It's not gonna make you a better player necessarily, but I'll tell you what it does do. It does add to whatever you've already got. And it's a hell of a lot of fun, isn't it? Let's be fair. So if my motivation is dipping at some point, and you know, it's been 4 or 5 days, I'm just like, I'm showing up, I'm doing the practice, but I am getting a bit bored of this or whatever, use a bit of gear. Buy yourself a pedal. Get yourself, you know, if you're in a position to, get a new guitar. I mean, there's absolutely nothing wrong with any of that. That's a beautiful thing. And you can build yourself up a pedal board. So that becomes a real big fun aspect of like, of this whole thing. Because remember, we're creating music here. At the end of the day, you're learning the guitar because you love music. You want to play music. You want to play this amazing instrument. So having a great overdrive pedal, delays, it might be kind of fuzz pedals or reverbs or tremolos or whatever it is that kind of gets you excited. Do that, get that into your kind of little practice zone at home, add your pedal board there as well, because that just helps with that little tinge of motivation to be like, okay, I've got all this stuff, now I best keep practicing. I want to keep getting better because I just love all of this gear and I want to make it sound as good as I possibly can. So yes, although the gear won't just by itself make you a great player, it can add to your skills, it can accentuate your skills, and of course, it's great fun. So don't be shy of using gear to keep yourself motivated and excited about the learning as well. So in conclusion, you've got 5 tips to help you build a habit of playing. Now, as I said right at the start, this is not a video about showing you what to then do in those practice sessions, because that's a whole different thing. All I'm telling you here is this is how you define your practice sessions, the time, building the habit of doing it. Now, in terms of what to do when you're in the practice session, well, that's what the Guitar Club is there for. Head on over. You can start completely free. The link's below in the description. And we'll give you a pathway of learning so that you can just, okay, I've set my time. This is what I'm doing. I'm showing up pretty much every day. And I'm going to just work through this pathway. I'm going to do what Dan or Thomas or Franco or Dion or Claire or whoever, whichever one of our amazing teachers is teaching you on your part of your pathway. Just follow that. Between those two things, between having the focus of the lessons and the pathway and having the kind of discipline to turn up each day with this kind of new habit of learning, this journey of playing that you're on is just going to get more and more wonderful as you go. The goals will just keep being knocked down, and it's all because you're kind of letting go of, I want to get to this point as quickly as possible. That's not necessarily the best idea. Instead, think, I know I love turning up. I know I love playing the guitar. I'm going to turn up each day. I'm going to try my best. I'm going to follow the pathway. I'm going to see where it takes me. And that is how you're going to improve massively on the guitar. So please do comment below to let me know what you think about this. If you've got any tips that I've missed that you think are a great way of kind of building a habit, let me know, and I'll see you again in another video.